young black teen whose life has been cut short by gun violence. Unfortunately, it's not always by the hand of a George Zimmerman, but by the hands of another black teen. Who's to blame and how do we fix it? Justice is due for Trayvon Martin and many other black teens killed by gun violence. We march on, not just for Trayvon Martin, but to save our children. Trayvon and George, anger of a misguided nation. Black versus white versus black. Hosted by Jay Howard. Hello, my name is Jay Howard and welcome to Trayvon and George, Anger of a Misguided Nation. This is a show I put together to give people a chance to voice their opinions about Trayvon Martin, what happened to him. It's unfortunate. We're not getting any justice. We're angry, upset, fed up. Every word you want to use to describe an angry person, that's us. We are an angry nation right now because of what happened to Trayvon Martin. On top of that, we're angry at the fact that there's a lot of senseless black on black crime going on in our communities. The attention is not being brought to that enough. Not that we don't want to talk about Trayvon getting justice, but we have other things that are important too in our community as far as stopping this black on black hate and the crime that's going on, the way we treat our women. It's a lot of things that need to be addressed. And tonight we're going to address a lot of those things. I have the lines open. I have a caller. Caller, what is your name?
Johnny Duvall.
Johnny Duvall, where you calling from, Johnny?
Oak Park.
Oak Park, Illinois. Well, Johnny, you are on. Give me your take and let your feelings roll. What's going on with how you feel right now about this Trayvon Martin case?
I feel that there's a grave injustice being done to Trayvon Martin's parents and to his family, and ultimately to us, Black America. It basically speaks to black lives not being valued as much as white lives or any other lives here in America. To have a situation where someone can pretty much pursue an individual, shoot them, and say that it was in self-defense is just ludicrous. It's ridiculous.
Johnny, I'm going to be honest with you, man. When I first heard the comeback is what I call it the comeback. Not LL Cool J, the comeback. Been there for years, not that. I'm talking about the comeback far as that makes it justifiable. That's the part that angers me. And then when I look at the fact this kid is probably 120 pounds, Zimmerman is probably my size or bigger. Come on, man. Are you serious? Johnny, how do you really feel? Do you feel that the justice system has failed us?
I believe it has. In addition to the justice system, is the political system as well. You had a Republican-controlled states, Senate, and House that pretty much passed laws that really, in my view, was basically guided by the NRA, which is basically a political group that's making campaign contributions to them. So, it really is not something that the people really wanted. And had the people known that what really was going on behind those laws, they probably wouldn't have, had it voted on.
Yeah, Johnny, it's so much, man, from so many angles. It's so much going on. But, Johnny, this show is called Trayvon and George, Anger of a Misguided Nation. And talking about an anger in a misguided nation, that's talking about the nation, how we're misguided. So I want to talk about us being misguided with this black on black crime outside of us just responding to a crime with a white against a black, or a Latino against a black, or black against Latino. I want to talk about the black on black crime and how we're misguided as a nation on how we love one another, how we care about one another, the integrity about our women. Tell me about that, Johnny. What's your take on that?
Black on black crime is an issue that we need to address right away. I agree with you, and I'm guilty of cringing when I see certain individuals coming down the street. I don't know what their intentions are, and I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Maybe that's just instinct. But it's truly a problem. Since I moved here over 17, 18 years, I've seen it increased to the point of where, there's more gun violence and in our communities and places that I used to go. I don't go anymore. I've stopped riding the green line due to the increase in violence in the last couple of years. So it's definitely an issue. Not only do other Americans don't value black lives, but black people don't value black lives. We don't love ourselves, and we need to continue to start, I should say, to show more love for ourselves and others.
Johnny, how old are you, may I ask?
I'm 53.
53. I'm quite sure you're more familiar with Medgar Evers, right?
Yes, I am.
Than I am. You're more familiar than I am. Martin, right?
Yes, I am.
Malcolm.
Yes, I am.
Now, I just want to run down the timeline real quick. I remember in the 60s, from my history, me reading and knowing history, it was a point where we couldn't really vote. We didn't have privileges for that, sitting on the back of the bus, all those things, going to Rosa Parks, all that stuff, right? They kill off 3 leaders. They kill off Medgar, they kill off Martin, and Malcolm. After that, we tore up our own community. We tore up Roosevelt Road. We did all that stuff. Tore it down in Chicago. From those 3 deaths, it changed for us. In the 70s, when the 70s came about, we had a little liberation and freedom. We were able to look at ourselves in a more positive light. We came together for those causes because they killed those 3 leaders. And in the 70s, that was like one of the greatest times on this planet for black people. We were able to love ourselves. We wanted to wear our hair natural. No swine. You know what I mean? Not eating swine, not putting relaxers in our hair. Just being proud to be black. 80s come along. We sell right back out. Now we putting relaxers in our hair. Everything. 90s come, rap music come about. Gangster rap makes its statement, and you got positive rap. Now 2000s are here. This is the worst time in history, in my opinion, of self-hate. What's your opinion on that? Do you think that it's a sign from God that's trying to reach us with the way people are turning on each other? Because I never seen it this drastic before, the self-hate. Where do you think it's coming from?
I'm not sure. I'm not necessarily sure that it's a sign from God, and it could be. I'm not sure about that, but it's definitely due to. I think it's due to increased economic despair. A lot of people are disappointed because they were told that life was supposed to be better for them than it was for their parents, and it seems like that's not necessarily the case. When you get out of high school, you can't necessarily go and get a good factory paying job now because they're gone. So I think it's more an economic despair type thing, no hope in the future, not having any positive outlook on what's to come. I think it's more of that. It's just angst and frustration and anxiety.
But the anger with the youth, where do you think that comes from? Do you think it's like the sins of the father visits the children type thing? You think it's like, it seems like a bloodline type thing to me. It's just this generation is so misguided and lost on how to love someone, how to have integrity. And
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you struck a chord there with me, because when you mention youth, and it is misguided. Youth. When you think about the 60s, when we were doing the marching and all that, a lot of those people were young people. Young people need to channel that energy that they have and that positive outlook, and they need to channel that into something positive. And this generation has been misguided, and they're not doing that. When you talk about the sit-ins that were done, during the 60s, those were college kids. Those were young people.
Exactly.
And now, so you're right. It's the youth that's the key here, and they are being misguided. And basically they're being sold a bill of goods, and they're angry about it. It's like, hey, something's not right here. Again, that promise of a better future for you is not being fulfilled for them, and they're being misguided, and now they're angry. But again, it's the youth that was a big key in the movement in the 60s and late 50s and the 60s, and it's the youth that needs to be reached right now.
Let me ask you a question. I want you to hear this out. because this angers me more than anything. I look at how we march and put on our hoods for Trayvon. Now, I have a hood on right now, but I have this hood on because I want to wear a hood. This has nothing to do with Trayvon Martin, believe it or not. But I look at how we came together for this cause. And it's a beautiful thing, don't get me wrong. We got up, we marched, we made a statement. But when I look at the crime in the inner cities, it's a policy that they have in the inner city of don't go to the police. We'll self-medicate this and handle this. What's your take on how we deal with bringing justice to the black on black crime? See, it's one thing to we stand together because it was a racial thing, but I call it racial also when I see what we do to each other, and it kind of makes me sad to see that when we see those Inglewood killings, we see the I forgot the young kid out south that was beat up on the bus and killed.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but I forgot his name. When we see those type of tragedies, it lasts for a couple of days. It's over with. Why do you think people right now are more concerned in other cities about Trayvon Martin, but not the crime that's right in front of their nose and under their doorstep, and they don't call the police? Why do you think that's the way it is?
It's a number of things. Some level people have pretty much become immune to it because it's been happening so frequently. That's a bad thing now, but still, that's part of it. Part of it's fear because they feel like the police may be in on it, certain things, and they don't want to be getting involved in that respect.